Even though the last time I played a Bionicle game for the GameCube, I came out of it physically crying, I was much more hopeful as I went into Bionicle Heroes. Traveler's Tales, the development team behind the LEGO games. I love LEGO Star Wars and have played it over and over. I haven't played too many of the LEGO games after that point, but I know most were good. Well, most that came out prior to the LEGO movie, which, despite being an excellent movie, led to the complete degeneration of the quality of the LEGO games, in my opinion. But that is a review for another day, when we review a LEGO game, because Bionicles is not in the LEGO series. Instead, gameplay consists of collecting Bionicle pieces, which are your currency and build a true Jedi bar, I mean, the Bionicle of Light. It's totally different. In that, this game will waste your time at every turn. Every level will require you to collect enough not studs to turn into the Golden Man at least 4 times. Each time you will interact with the special Golden Construction, your progress to Golden Boy status will reset, and you can progress a little bit further through the game. Most levels will end with you fighting against a boss. Don't worry, that's still a drawn-out, boring process. Dodge the attacks sent at you by a completely invincible boss, while killing the pitiful minions they send at you until you become a Golden Boy. Activate the Golden Construction, it'll do a bit of damage to the boss. Repeat this 2 to 3 more times. Now the invincible shield the boss has had this entire time will periodically go down, so you're simply dodging attacks now, waiting for that brief second when the shield drops, and you can do a tiny amount of damage. A single boss fight can take over 11 minutes of this repetitive, simple, tedious grinding. The grinding nature isn't helped by the fact that the game is an over-the-shoulder Bulletstorm game. The only thing that isn't really in line with the other LEGO games. Each of the 6 Bionicles has been given a different gun, all of which home in on enemies automatically. They supposedly all have different situations and uses, but in reality only 2 Bionicles were worth using most of the time. Ice uses a sniper rifle, but the rate of fire is so low that before you can take out the wave of useless enemies swarming you with its increased damage, they've already killed you. You might suggest that Ice would be better to use against bosses, if the damage is so much higher, but all bosses take a half heart of damage at a time, whether they're hit with a weak machine gun or a direct headshot from the sniper rifle. The next most useless is Earth. His weapon shoots a slow-moving pulse of energy that does high damage and has splash damage as well, but its rate of fire is so slow that the damage isn't actually worth it. You'll have to use Earth more than any other character though, since only he can build constructs and activate most devices. Next up is Rock. His weapon is a grenade launcher with a decent rate of fire and massive damage, but the explosion is on a delay that guarantees that enemies that you're actively fighting will have moved well away from the blast radius before the weapon actually detonates. I found an amazing use for him by accident though. Most bosses will spawn their minions from small rooms behind them, and usually only from the side they are standing on at any one time. So, if I lock onto a boss with Rock, move back and forth constantly, and hold down the fire button, then the number of grenades landing on the boss will all detonate, instantly killing the minions they're attempting to spawn. The screen will be a confusing mess of explosions, but moving from side to side constantly is all that's necessary to dodge 99.7% of all the boss's attacks. Even better, since the minions died somewhere I cannot reach, the game automatically gives me all the studs they drop, vastly increasing the rate at which I can become a Golden Boy and interact with the constructions, and get the game over with. You've probably noticed that odd inflection. Constructions. This is not me not knowing how to speak, it's how it was printed in the guide at the beginning of the game. The Golden Constructions. I don't even think it's a typo. I think someone at TT just thought constructions would sound different and unique. No, it just sounds like you're still in the 3rd grade and you haven't yet mastered having to enunciate around your gigantic child tongue. Where was I? Right, useful weapons. Fire wields a machine gun. It has the lowest damage output, but when you're putting out that many bullets, who cares? The enemies just die in seconds anyway. They die even faster when faced with Wynn's shotgun though. At long range, the rate of fire and damage are almost equivalent to Fire's machine gun. Up close, it's an instant kill on all but the strongest basic enemies. Even that damage is outdone by water though. Her laser beam of hydropower does mid-range shotgun damage in a continuous stream on whatever it's targeting at any range. The game tries to insist it's all a medium-range weapon, but I'm sorry, if I could use a distance as an establishing shot and would have to pull my actors in to actually shoot anything usable, that's not medium range. Despite this, I ended up rarely using water because...
Oh, that noise got worse.
That is really hard to listen to. I get what you were going for, rushing water, it's thematic, it makes sense. It just also sounds terrible. You might be surprised at this point that I haven't mentioned the story of the game at all. After all, story is probably the most important part of the game to me. I will enjoy a game even if its other elements are lacking if it's got a well-written, fulfilling story. It's why I love Thomas Was Alone, it's why I hated Modern Warfare 2, among many other reasons. And yet, I'm now 2 pages deep into this script and I haven't brought up the story. Alright, here goes. Who wrote this and did they have any idea about the Bionicle characters? Bo-Rock and Baki are basic enemies? Even if you want to argue the Bo-Rock are 3 to 4 cents back at this point, the Baki are newer than the Rockshi, which are boss enemies. Also, that's not where the Krana, or the worm creatures, go. They are housed inside the Rockshi's back, not their head. And why are the Krana acting stupidly? They don't just activate a Rockshi, they are the intelligence. The Rockshi is a suit of armor for them to wear. They are hyper-intelligent beings, and this game is literally treating them like idiots. No, strike that! Everyone's an idiot! The terrifying and threatening Baraka that actually kind of scared me as a kid? Big, bubbling dolts, constantly hurting themselves and screaming at the camera for no reason! Even the giant boss monsters are idiots! Suddenly, some of them making a bond with head trauma look brilliant!
Otter, you still aren't telling us about the story?
You get a story out of this! Baraka are being big and bad, and everything wants to kill the Toa. Who knows why? Go shoot the Baraka, because they're evil. Oh, and the Rockshi are back, being controlled by the Baraka. And while you're at it, why don't you go buy the pieces to build a feature sword for the Baraka? A feature sword! Overall, the game is repetitive and boring, filled with mind-numbing shooting. There's no overarching story beyond Toa good, everything else bad, shoot away. Your hand will go to sleep holding down the fire button, and I swear to the Hounds of Tindalos, if I see one more construction, I will break something. The game might have been better if it had been cut in half lengthwise, but then it also would have been unforgivably short. I can definitely say either way that due to my lateness with us being halfway into another request month already, and having played some of the games, I'm more hopeful for better, and I'm ready to leave this behind me. Spit all over my screen.